Step 2 and 3, the key to digitizing is taking level pictures. So make sure to go and turn on your grid or level settings on your phone's camera. On the iPhone, you just go to Camera, go down to Composition, and turn on the grid. You'll see two crosshairs, one yellow and one white, appear when you are taking a photo looking straight down. When those are aligned, you have a level picture. Lay out your tissue paper pattern or your paper pattern on a flat surface such as the floor or your cutting mat. I like to go ahead and add a nice thick quilting ruler, and that's going to help me when I am calibrating it and scaling this image. Go ahead and jump into your camera on your phone, watch for those crosshairs to line up, and snap that photo. Step 4, we're going to transfer those pictures to your computer and place them in Affinity Designer or whichever vector program you chose. When you've taken all of your pictures of your pattern, you're ready to import them into Affinity Designer, or if you're using Inkscape or another program, you can import them into that program. In Affinity Designer, you're not going to go to import content, even though that may seem like what you want to do. You're going to do place. Since they are images, we're going to go to place. I'm just going to select all the images that I have and select open. Now you're going to see it has a little arrow and the image is selected. That's just where you're going to place that image. It doesn't really matter because we're going to be moving them all around, so I just put them all on there. And then to close this assets here, come over to Window and Assets. Now, if you find that your canvas is not large enough, you can go ahead and change it. Just go ahead and go Document Setup. And you can come down here. I work with 150 by 150 inches. That seems to work really well. But do not go over 200 inches by 200 inches. That will be too large to open in some PDF readers, and it will apply scale, which we don't want. So under 200 inches on each side, and make sure you have Anchor to Page Select and just push OK. Then we're going to go ahead and draw a calibration box. I am calibrating to my quilting ruler here. That is, I already know it is 24 inches wide there, because that's the width, and 6 inches in height. And that's what I'm going to be calibrating to. Here, and let's choose a new image. Let's go ahead and rotate that back. And let's zoom in. I'm just pushing Control on my mouse wheel to zoom in and out. I use that a lot. Unlock that one. And I'm going to go ahead and repeat that with the other images as well. Make sure I get the other image loaded in. Once you got all of your images how you want them, you can go ahead and unlock them and arrange them however you would like on your screen. You can get rid of these rectangles, or you can leave them for reference for your projector file. So go ahead. I'm going to go ahead and do that. All right, I ran ahead and rearranged the pattern how I wanted it. Now, since this was made to be cut out, you're going to notice if I zoom in, all the grain lines are kind of going in different directions. So you need to make sure when you're cutting this out, if you were just cutting this directly onto your fabric, to really pay attention to those markings. So I'm going to go ahead and export this as a PDF, and we're going to take a look at it on the projector. If you wanted to stop there and just say, I've digitized it, I can project it from here. Let's look how it works, and stay tuned because I'm going to show you how to go a little bit further on getting those pattern lines. Okay, to export this, we're just going to go File, Export. I choose PDF. PDF for print is fine. All these other choices, it doesn't really matter. Just choose one, and we're going to go ahead and export it. And you can name it and click Save. And it will typically open it directly in your default PDF reader. Mine is Adobe Acrobat. So let's go ahead and just take a look. I'm going to go ahead and zoom out in here. Whoop. And there is my images of the pattern. Let's go ahead and see how these project, just to see how it would look if you chose to stop right here with digitizing your pattern. I'm going to come back to the image now, and again I'm going to lock it. Okay, so now I can't make changes to it. And this is where we're going to go ahead and start. We can zoom in as we need. I'm going to grab my pen tool here, and I'm going to start with the corners to start tracing this pattern. And remember, you can zoom in as much as you need. And when you get to the end, it's going to close that. And we can fix that with the nodes, where we can come in and make sure the curves are aligning. We can adjust the nodes. And again, like I said, zoom in. Let me change the color of this stroke so we can see it a little bit better. You can see what I'm doing. Okay. I'm just adjusting it so it's right on that line, right how I want it. On the pattern. Once you have all the lines adjusted how you want it, you can be done with that shape for now. And see, that's the curve. So I'm actually going to label what this is. And this is the bodice front. can also put what piece number it is. This is piece number 1. I'm going to go ahead and add a layer. And I am actually doing size 10 right now. So I'm going to go ahead and title this as size 10. I want everything to be working in size 10. If you already did something outside of it, just go ahead and just place it right into that layer. I'm going to click on that layer because I'm going to be still working on the layer. Before you're done with this pattern piece, we need to put some text on there. We also need to mark all the notches and other pattern markings that might be on here and make sure they're all grouped in with this bodice front here. I'm going to go ahead and select that here. And let's go ahead and let's continue maybe adding some of those notches. And how you want to do those notches is really up to you. So you can either just draw lines with your pen tool if you want. You can also come down and choose a shape if you want. It's just really up to you how you want it to look and your personal preference. But if you want it as those notches, we can go ahead and make those shapes right how you want them and put them in there. And I'm going to go ahead and just duplicate that piece. I push Alt and it's going to duplicate it. Oh, sorry, I've got to push my select tool and Alt. It's going to come down and I'm going to adjust it here to this one. And if you wanted to have that stroke filled in, we can also come here and say put a fill in it. Let's just go ahead and do it black. Well, we want to know it's different, so I'll come and put that here. So maybe I like that one better here. Control Z if you accidentally grab the wrong thing. Here. And Alt. That's going to create a new one. Come put that notch in here. Right on top where it goes. Alt again. It's going to copy it. And put my notch in here. And I've got some notches down here. I want to make sure I have those here. So I'm just going to click this one, Alt. This is so I use that duplicate so I don't have to keep drawing in the shape. It's just kind of a shortcut. And again, mine aren't like perfectly straight on there. You feel free to work it as much as you want on there. For the purpose of this video, I'm trying to not go through taking too long. Come down and make sure you add the text for it. Just make sure you get all the information that you will need. So I'm going to have to label some of the other lines for it. So I'll go ahead and do that. Actually, I want to increase the font here, the font size. And 36 point is really good for projector files, so I'm going to go ahead and leave it at that. Put in here, and I know it gets kind of busy because you're doing it on top of your image. And again, you could change the color just so you know which one is what for it. Okay. And we have this cut and fold line, so we want to make sure that we have that as the cut and fold. When I do the cut and fold lines with the arrows, I do like to come over to the stroke and just choose an arrow for my line here. And let's see if it did that. Yeah, see how it has the arrows there? So I'm going to go there. And I know it's not like a perfect, but you can see how it has the arrows on there already. And then I can also label that with the text tool. And we can also adjust that and unfold it later if we want to. I'll reduce this down here. But I'm going to go ahead and finish getting all those other marks in. Okay, once you've got all that, we're going to go ahead and just group that together. You can right click and say group, or you can say Control plus G. And we've got that whole group. If you didn't want to group that all together, you want to have the text instructions separate from the pattern piece, you could also do that because you might want some of these on all of your sizes. And now I'm just going to move that over so you can kind of see that we have that completed pattern piece. It's all ready to go. The only thing, I was just going to check that it had green line on there, but we'll just line that center cut on fold on the grain line if you wanted to once you're aligning all your pattern pieces. But we have that. It's in our size 10. We have our group. We could rename this as the bodice front. And it's all within that size 10. And I can continue working in the size 10 and doing the back piece here. I'll go ahead and do that really quick, and then I'll show you how we can add another layer so we have sizes in there. When you are working and you're ready to work on another size, you can come and you can turn off the visibility of the layer that you were working on, and we can go ahead and create a new layer. And maybe we want this to be the size 12, and you can repeat the same process working in size 12. So when I've done that size 10 and I'm ready to come on to the size 12, again, I'm just going to take my pen tool and I'm going to start going again, and I don't have the other pattern pieces in the way as I'm tracing. Oh, and I need to change my dotted line to solid line, so let's go ahead and change that to a solid line here. And you can continue working on that new size, and you can see over here it is going to be putting it under our new layer, which I've labeled size 10. If you're afraid you're going to accidentally make changes to this one, you can go ahead and come down here and you can lock it if you want to make sure that you don't make any changes to it. Okay, and I right-clicked. That's how I accessed that to be able to lock it. So I'm going to go ahead and continue working here on size 12, so I have at least 2 sizes, and I'll show you how we have our pattern and what to do then. And what I've decided to do is I'm just going to create a new layer that is all the text and just put that on here. So it's going to have all the grain line and things in there. So let's go ahead and paste it in there. So now we have grain line and bodice. And you can come back and change each sizes so they're different colors if you want. For projecting, black is the best option. But if you want to come see, let's go ahead and make it a bigger contrasting color here. Oh, except I want all of that size 10 to be that. There we go. I still have the fill in these triangles in the blue, but now you can see where that size 10 is. So that's kind of a quick of how you can do it. Let's go ahead and turn off our image here. And you can start to see how that pattern is coming along. I've only done 2 sizes of this one, but we can start to see how we can get that all digitized. So I'm going to keep working and I'll show you the final product once I'm all done with it. Okay, I want to show you the final results. So first I just have the image of the pattern here, and you can see I have all my layers laid out here. I have a text layer and then I have a layer for each of the sizes. And I'm going to go ahead and turn on each of those so you can see I have the text and then size 10, size 12, size 14 is all in there. And I can turn off that background image and we have a completed pattern. Now, one thing I notice about this that I want to change before I go over to using it on my projector is everything was laid out on the tissue paper to make use of all the space, but I want the grain lines to all be going in the same direction. So what I'll probably do is kind of select all of these here like that without trying to select other pattern pieces here. And I will go ahead and move those around and rotate it so that we can get all the grain lines facing the same way. I might bring down a guide here to show, hey, that's my grain line. And then I can easily line them up and do that same thing with all the pattern pieces. Just making sure they're lined up correctly on how I want to be cutting, but that's totally optional. It's easier to keep track of when you are cutting on your projector. You could also play pattern Tetris and lay it out. You can save this for later and just use it there another time here. So this one actually just has a grain line, but it does not have, you don't have to cut on the fold. This one doesn't have to be on a fold. I can just line it up here. There it is.